Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here we successfully complete our total code application for the subject, right? So here also our created as a null. So now I also want to update this part. If you want to add that created as a now date, how can insert it, I will show you. So better I want to create another code application for the sections. Okay, so let's do that work. So our procedure will be just like that same. First of all, I want to create all that our necessary file. I want to better click as the up button. So with this, we will actually get our previous one. So previous, I have created one of the model name as a subject. Now I want to create another one as a section. Okay, name it as a section, and also I want to create one of the migrations table. Now click as a enter. So now our model is created and migrations table is also created. So friend, that will be just like our subject, but I think at the point it's very clear to you, but I want to create some of the another sections, so then that will be very interactive. Okay, so now I created two of this model, like here right now there is a subject, so I will copy everything from to the subject controller, and here right now you don't need this. Rather than I copy everything from our S class controller. Okay, so now that will be fine. So now if you go to our migrations table, in the migrations, now I want to create a new one. So I have created a new migrations table as a sections, right? So for the section I want to add two of field enough. Okay, I want to add another one field as a class ID, class underscore ID, and another name, I name it as a section name. Okay, section underscore name, right friend? Now what exactly we have to do, this section name will be obviously on the string type, right? So that will be the string, type, and our class name will be one of the integer type, because here I want to actually put some of the value, so that means our numerical value as an integer. Perfect. So now our next step is what? Our next step, we have to make our fillable field. In our model, I have created another model as a sections, right? So now in our subject, I have already discussed about that things with you. If you want to make it protected all field, then that will be as a protected guarded, right? So now I want to use it. So after that, I simply use it as a protected guarded. Perfect. So our model is successfully done. Our migrations table is successfully done. So now it will be created one of the table as a sections, and into the sections table that will be as a to field. So if you now want to migrate, like here I want to migrate it, so that will be as a PHP artisan migrate. Click as a enter. Our migration is now successfully created. So if you go to our database now, so now that should be another one as a sections. You can see into the sections there is a two field. One is the class ID, another is the section name. Perfect. So now first of all I want to insert it. So that will be just like our class, but I want to create another controller. Okay, I also want to create another controller. So in our API, that means our command will be as a PHP artisan make controller, and in our API folder I want to create another controller, and I just name it as a section controller. Okay, so now this type of one of the controller I simply created. Perfect. Now go to our section, that is API, and that is our sections controller. So our first work is we have to take all that, that means this controller in our API. Here I want to load this. I copy it, and after that into the same folder I have created new one as a section controller. So first of all I want to name it. Okay, then I want to create another code application, but I copy it, and after that I paste it. So that will be as a section. Okay, section class or section routes. So I name it as a section routes. Perfect. So I want to first of all complete our store, then we'll get it. So for the store, I name it as a section. So that will be one of the URL as a section store, and our controller, I now want to use that controller as a section controller, not that subject controller. So I want to change it. So that will be as a section controller. Into the section controller area, I want to create one of the method as a store, or rather than you can also change it as a section store. Okay, I show you, like there is a section store. So now this section store I want to create in our this sections controller. Now go to our sections controller. Here I want to create one of the new method public. So friend, practice. Okay, when you practice it, then everything will be very clear, because as I told you, it should be needed, because when we'll develop one of the complete project, then that will be actually needed. Okay, so then that will be easy for you. I make it as a and method. So that is our and method. So here what exactly we have to do? First of all, we have to load that model. So now I want to get some of the references from our this student class, and that will be just like that same. So I want to do and to load this model. So I have already created one of the model for the section, and you can see I have already created that model name as a section model. So now with this section model, we are able to access our these sections table, right? So now I want to do and to copy it, and now in our sections controller here I want to load it. Great. And then I want to copy it, so that will be same the index method. So not that index, first of all I want to complete that store method. Okay, so like they have some of the validation also, I copy it, and then in our sections controller here, after this I paste it. Okay, so that is one of the post method. So here also you have to pass that as a request and then the $request. Okay, because here I'm actually creating that is this one as a section store, so that is one of the post method, which is totally fine. And in our sections controller, I have created this sections store, so that is our sections store. Great. So first of all, that is a validation. Validation I want to do, I only want to do our field name. Our field name, if you go to our database, like as a section name. Okay, section name I want to use some of the validation. Section name will be as a required, and that will be as a unique in our which table. Our table name as a right now as a sections. Right, so now I want to do and to update it, so that will be as a sections, a minimum character as a 25, which is totally fine. And also I have already checked all that our validation is working perfectly, right friends? So now our table I want to access with our this model as a section model, and here I want to insert, there is actually the two field, but I copy it. So that will be one is the class ID. Okay, I want to insert the class ID, and that will be our requested class ID, and also another one as a section name. I copied, that is our database field name, and that is our requested field name. Okay, so perfect. So when it should be insert, then I want to display on the return response message as a student section inserted successfully. That's all, right friend? So much easy it is, you can see. And also as I told you, if you want to also insert that created at, you can also pass it, but I copy it, and I want to take another one. That will be as a field name as a created at, and for the created at I want to add that our current time. Okay, so if you want to use that current time, there is another function as a carbon. So with this carbon you can actually use it, so that will be as a carbon. Okay, with this carbon our now date. Okay, now date I want to insert. So when you use that as a carbon, then also we have to use it. That means here after this I want to use that is in our carbon, that is into the carbon / carbon. Okay, carbon. So that is one of the default that is already ready made. So now here we have to use it when you use that as a carbon. Okay friend, so now that should be inserted three data. It should be inserted the class ID, it should be inserted that section name, and then the created at. Created it is automatically, it should be inserted. Here we don't need to insert anything. Right now I click as a save all, and now I want to hit our this API URL as a section store. I copy it, and now go to our postman. So for the post I want to use this. Okay, so here there is a API, and after that API that will be as a section store. Great. Our header is also ready as I accept, and the content into the body. Right now I want to update our field name. One is the class ID, which is totally fine. Another will be as a section name. Okay, another will be as a section name, so I make it as a section name. So right now we don't need this. I want to remove it. So here if you click close, so it will be removed. Okay, so section name I want to name it as a section A. Okay, and class ID I make it as a 3 or whatever actually choose. So now I make it as a class ID 3, and then section name as a section A. Perfect. And created at, here from to this position we don't need to pass any created at, automatically that will be actually inserted this date. So now if you hit this API, that means our URL, now click as a send, that is one of the post method, and again error as unexpected this in our section controller 21. So now go to our section controller, here there is a 21. What exactly I have done? There is a created at as a carbon. Now you can see I'm actually using that semicolon. That will be obviously one of the comma. Okay, here I am actually using the comma, and then comma. So now click as a save all. I want to hit it again. So when you actually get any error, automatically it will be display in here. Okay, now click as a send it again. Yes, you can see student section inserted successful. So now if you go to our database, now click as a browse. Yes, you can see there is a ID1. Class ID I pass it as a 3, section name as a section A, and you can see automatically it's get that our created ad. That means when you actually created our this post, so now that is our created it ad, it's automatically it's get this time. Perfect. So now I want to insert another data like as a class name ID I make it as a 2, and then I make it as a B. Okay, that will be as a B, as a section B. Send it, inserted successful. And also for the class 2 I will make it as another one as a C, send it, send successful, and then D I make it as a right now as a 4. Okay, now click as a send, section T. Perfect. So student section inserted successful, everything working perfectly. Now click as a browse. Yes, you can see it's perfectly inserted. Okay, friend. So now we have to get this data. I hope at that point, without watching this video, you can actually complete this part here. That will be very easy. Like first of all, I have to create that our route. Our route will be as a section, and then in our section controller, so into the section controller, I want to create one of the method as a section index. Okay, I make it as a section index. Now I want to create this method in our section controller. Now go to our section controller. So first of all, I want to create it. Okay, so then that will be better. I name it as a public, and then the function. Okay, function, and then our method name. So that is our method name. So that is our method name. So here I simply loaded this method. So in this method, where I put that note as an AND method. So that is our AND method, and now I want to take this data. So that will be same. I copy it, and then from our S class controller, I simply copy that index, and now in our section controller here I paste it. Okay, so here I take one of the variable as a section, or whatever the name actually you choose. Now our model name as a section, not that S class. So with this section I want to get that all data. It will be return response with the JSON format, and here I pass it. So that will be actually the section. Great. So now I want to get this data. So here now if you want to access it, that will be as a section. Right now I click as a save all. So right now they have the 4 data. If you go now, there is a get method. So it is a get method URL. So our URL will be API and then the section. So now if you click as a send, yes, you can see there is a ID 4, ID 3, ID 2, and then ID 1. Okay, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4. There is a 4 data is now perfectly get. Right, and also you can see there's a created that is inserted the time, the section D, everything is great. Okay, everything is great. So now I want to do also to complete that edit portion. So now here I think is very easy. So there is a section edit, and then edit we have to edit it with the specific one of the ID. Now in our section controller, into the section controller I have to create another method as a section edit. Okay, so section edit I copy it, and then in our section controller, now go to our section controller, into the section controller. After that insert, I want to create another one that will be a public, and then function, and then our method name. Okay, I simply load this method, and that is our AND method. But I copy it, and then that is our AND method. So that will be same from our AS class controller. So that is our update, delete, and edit. I copy it, and also they have also one of the ID, right? We have to also pass one of the ID. Like here, if you go to our API, from to this position, there is a section edit, and there is a ID. Name this ID as a requested ID will be as a ID. Okay, so now our model name as a section. So that is our section model. I take one of the variable as a section. There is a section model, find or fail our this requested ID, return response the JSON our this section. Okay, so that's all we have to do. Now click as a save all, and now if you want to check it, so our URL will be right now as a section edit and then the ID. So right now they have the 4 data. I want to get the 3. Okay, that means the section C. If you go to here, I have already created that URL, so that will be API, and then I want to use that right now as a section edit, and then I want to get a specific 3 data. Okay, the 3 data. So now I'm going to get it as a 3, Perfect. Hit that URL. That is one of the get method. Perfect. You can see it's now only get that specific 3ID data. So, okay, so now we have to update it and then we have to delete it. Better to continue this process in our next video. I will show you that things with the live example. So thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.